with Monica Gulati. Before we start the first session, let's have a moment's silence while we invoke their presence for the next 90 minutes. So good morning everyone, and good evening everyone in the US. Welcome to the first day of Understanding Illness. Before I introduce Monica and the event, I'd like to say a few words about the host of this particular event, which is NAMAH. Now, NAMAH is not just engaged in workshops, courses and programs. It is a long-standing and insightful journal available in print and as an e-journal. NAMAH is the Journal of Integral Health. It looks at the influence of the soul or spirit in man's search for health and well-being. It examines man's physical and mental health in an integral way. It looks at it in terms of his growth and spiritual progress, as everything is always interlinked. It looks at individual and social health from the perspective of the evolutionary process. So it's a vast field, and the range of material we publish is very diverse. But the one common denominator is the influence of the soul on our health and its influence on the rest of our being. NAMAH is published quarterly and available online for subscription in either format, so I recommend that you give it a try. So it's with enormous pleasure that I introduce you to the facilitator for this workshop, Monica Gulati. Some of you may know her already, as she is quite active online. If you're a supporter of our journal too, you may well have read one or two of her beautiful articles. So she was trained as an immunologist, but she realized her calling was not scientific research while she was doing her PhD in autoimmunity at the University of Zurich. A search in integrating science and spirituality drew her to many masters and gurus, and she found herself getting drawn towards holistic living and education. She got a wake-up call from her psychic being through cancer when it visited her. Cancer brought her in touch with her own essence and revealed that her true calling was the calling of her heart. It was like she was born again. She now lives a life immersed deeply and fearlessly in all the movements of life and spills out the messages the inner being manifests through people, life situations and challenges, seeming tragedies and diseases. The universe is for us and not against us. If one has faith in a loving universe, all the difficulties are nothing but a way to progress deeper within and exploring newer fields within oneself. So she's a relentless explorer, and she feels blessed to be on this journey within hand in hand with fellow travellers. The subject over the next 4 days is clearly very central to the ideals and objectives of our journey. All of us encounter illness at some point of our lives. Perhaps some of you feel undermined and downtrodden by it. When one is engaged or destined for this integral path, the causes of illness invariably come from inside. Each one of us is the guardian of our own inner equilibrium. And when this balance is lost, our health suffers too. In a very real sense, we are the architects of our own health. And when illness comes, it is down to each one of us to find out how and why this has happened. Every illness has a lesson to tell us. There is always a purpose behind it. Once we understand our illness, we begin to conquer it, because the reality is we are much greater than our illness. The person sitting and sharing with us over the next 4 sessions, Monica Gulati, took the time and trouble to painstakingly read and interpret all these signals when illness visited her body. It must have been a time of massive introspection. With her, as I've said, illness took the form of cancer, and she took the unique perspective of looking at it as a divine gift. It brought her directly into the arms of the Mother and embarked her on a new life of truth and light. So, I hope you find the next 4 days to be an inspiring experience. Let us aspire that it can bring us all to the gateway of true health and well-being. So that's my prayer for you all. Over to you, Monica.
Thank you, James. So, hello to everyone, namaste to everyone, and yeah, is it okay, James? The audibility?
A bit louder, Monica. A bit louder.
Louder, okay, fine. So, I'd like to start with something which my little one was telling me in the morning. He said that I have a good news, that there is no bad news. And I was really startled by what he said, because I asked him, where did you hear that from? And he picked it up from a cartoon that he watches on YouTube, or I don't know, on the TV. And it just was just enough, you know. He said, I have a good news, that there is no bad news. And I think that's a perfect line, if we can call the crux today, that the universe, in whatever form it may give us all the signals, they're always for us and not against us. You know, the illness specifically, all the diseases, the tragedies, they're always for us. Now, it is up to us to figure out in what way it is said that it is for me and not against me. And before I go ahead and begin to share my journey through my illness, let me share a few honest revelations that came to me. Yeah, I can be a little louder, yes. I'll try to be a little louder. So, last night I went through a ripple of nervousness, and I was really amused to see that nervousness. And again, I may lose participants here saying that the speaker is nervous. How on earth is that possible? But yes, I did see that ripple of nervousness. And then, as Mother says that, you know, go closer to anything that you see in the being, and as if you pick it out with a forceps. You pick it out with a forceps and investigate it very closely. So I picked it out, the nervousness, very closely, and I looked at it, you know, and I asked, why are you there? And it came to me that all the time in our lives, we are trying to be somebody. We are trying to as if prove ourselves to the world. But in that we lose our freedom. In that we lose our flexibility in life. Just like a child is totally self-absorbed. Little children are completely self-absorbed and they don't bother who they are. And that is the beauty of children. But as adults, in order to be somebody, we lose that frivolous character, somehow on the way. So that was the lesson which I got last night through the ripple of nervousness that I saw. And again, I offered it to the mother. I asked the mother for the message, and this was the message that was revealed, that you are not responsible for anyone in this life. You are not obligated to prove anything to anyone in this life. And that was so liberating in nature that it just again connected me back to the strength, within. And I think that is a perfect place to start now, that how cancer came to my life. So I'll be just sharing my journey through cancer in all these 4 days, the 4 sessions over 4 days. And I don't think I will be telling you anything new. I don't have anything new to say. Because we all have read so much. We all have really delved deeply into matters. We have read so many books. We have attended so many workshops. So it's not that we don't have the knowledge, right? It's not that we don't have the knowledge. We have all the knowledge with us. But somehow there is a gap between knowing and living. We know, but we can't live it out in our personal lives. So what I will be doing through these 4 sessions is I will be sharing how some bit of it came alive for me in practical life. And there is nothing new again. All has been said, all has been really said in detail, especially in the words of Mother and Sri Aurobindo. Each detail of disease has been described. Why is it there? What is it trying to say? What is the purpose of peace in disease? What is the significance of calm and inner poise in disease? So all that has been really clearly demonstrated. And yet we see that we fail to live it in practical life. So having said that, I'll be just sharing my own experiences, hoping that they may resonate with some of us at least, and give us the courage to look at each part of our being with a lot of strength and courage and a love. Because whenever we look at something, just like I was sharing that I was looking at the nervousness. So when the nervousness is there and I am looking at it, I am not the nervousness. I am something away from the nervousness. And this looking at the movements of life is love. This looking is courage. Not listening to the dictates of nervousness is courage and love. And Mother says that love is the biggest and foremost transformative power. And this love is our own essence. This is our own being. This capacity to look at our own movements has been given to each one of us human beings. It's not something new. And that's why I was sharing that I'm not going to give anything new here. But as Hanuman had to be reminded that he had wings, he could fly to Lanka and do the job. He had forgotten. Just like that, we also forget. We also forget, owing to the life that we live, that we also have wings. We have all the power of understanding within the being, and we need not dependent on anything else for that power. So this is a prayer that may these words or may these sharings invoke all of us to go deeper within and to find our own wings and strength. Because we have that with us. So beginning with our journey now, my journey with the disease. So in 2010, I got back from Zurich. I was doing a PhD in neuroimmunology. It's like autoimmune diseases. I was doing a PhD. And when I was doing this PhD, something was missing. I felt that, okay, I am looking at blood samples of patients who are suffering with autoimmune diseases like rheumatoid arthritis, myasthenia gravis, multiple sclerosis, all kind of diseases. And yet I don't know how emotionally they are living their life, day-to-day life, how on mental sphere they are living their day-to-day life, what is going on in their head, what is happening in their emotions. I have no clue. So how on earth can I bring a cure to them just looking at the blood sample? So I left the PhD, completed the PhD at that note, really confused a bit and wanting something more from life, in order to understand diseases. After PhD, I entered into a completely different domain of alternative education, of education which invokes us to question our beliefs, which asks us to question the way we live our life. And the first person I encountered there was the words of Jiddu Krishnamurti, and they were revelatory for me. And I gave myself the sabbatical, the opportunity to explore more on this, leaving altogether science for some time. After 1 year, I got married. I found somebody who I could spend time with. So I got married, and within 1 year of marriage, 1 or 2, I would say 3 years of marriage, I realized that something was getting uneasy. Now, I was not really sure what was uneasy, because I was not really looking at myself very closely. But I could sense the uneasiness in my being. So a person who was living an independent, free life earlier, after getting married, I tried myself to fit in a few roles. A role of a daughter-in-law, a role of a wife, a role of a daughter, all these roles were as if suffocating me to hell. But I was not able to really figure it out. So in 2014, when my second child was in my tummy, a little bleeding appeared in my urine. And it was painless bleeding, so I was not sure what is it really. It would come and it would stay there for a couple of urines, and then it will go away by itself, so I need not bother much about it. It was painless, as I said. It was not giving me much trouble. So I kind of ignored looking at it for a long time, unless the delivery happened. So after the delivery of my second child in 2014, August, the frequency of these bleedings increased, in the sense that first they were appearing once in a month. Now they would appear every once in 3 weeks or 2 weeks. So I was a little really, in fear, I would say, because whenever I would read online about bleeding in urine, it would clearly say cancer, cancer, cancer. And I would not be able to fathom how on earth cancer can happen to me, because cancer happens to persons out there, somewhere. Persons in the newspaper, person in books, but how can cancer happen to me? So that was a big blow on my face, and for now things were unclear. It was not really sure whether it was cancer or not. But I was afraid, and I said that, okay, let me ask my doctor. So I asked my homeopathic doctor, what should I do about it? And she said that, get an ultrasound done of the urinary bladder. So I went ahead and got an ultrasound done. And it was very clear that there were growths in my bladder which did not look like really harmonious growths. They were there out of nowhere. And the day this was revealed to me, as if a self-absorption happened. Mother says that usually the day-to-day life that we live, our consciousness is scattered. A bit of it is scattered in the past, a bit is scattered in the future, a bit here and there in what people are thinking about me, what somebody said in the morning, what people said after you did that thing in the morning. So all these kind of things clamor our mind, and we are as if we are giving away our energy to all these places. So that is what I would call scattering of consciousness. So the moment I got to know that this is a big challenge in front of me, as if immediately a self-absorption happened. Now all the threads that were scattered all around in my life, they came together because there was something big to be handled. Imagine that I am having a chaat pakodi in my hand, and I'm complaining about the chilies in the chaat and the sweetness of the chai, and all the complaints are going on. And immediately I see that there is a tiger who has started to chase me. All those complaints will go to drain, and I would run for life in presence of that tiger, or do whatever needed. So almost like that, in this confrontation with cancer, the moment I realized that there is something big I need to address, all the things that I kept myself absorbed in day-to-day life, which were so far big, all emotional and mental conflicts, what people are thinking about me, how much love they are giving me, they were all very big issues in my life. But they did not matter at all in that moment. As if a complete self-absorption happened. Just like a little child is completely self-absorbed in his own self. So that was the first gift that happened, I would say, to me. And that's why I named my blog later, The Gift of Cancer. So as if it has been a box given to me, which is unrevealing gifts one by one, one by one, one by one. So this first thing was this self-absorption. I experienced a beauty of inner calm, inner poise, and nothing on earth mattered in that beauty. Now, having said that, I realized that where is this coming from, and thankfully I can't recollect any memory of why me, why is this happening to me. This I cannot recollect. Maybe it happened, but my memory is not that sharp. What I can recollect is that there was a strong sense of wanting to know, a strong sense of why is it there? Is there a message in the disease? So that was the thing that was coming to me again and again. Of course, fear was there because I had two little kids to look after. And so far, I was the doer. I was the mother of those little children. So the doership was there. And again, with the doership comes fear. So fear was also there in the sense that what if I die? Who will look after these children? But first of all, it was an urge to know the message behind the disease. And I was not able to have the strength to go directly for the surgeries that were advised to me by the urologist. So what I did was I took time out. I paused for a while and I took 3-4 months out for self-reflection. So my surgery was imminent. The doctor had suggested that I should undergo surgery immediately. But I said, no, I want to give it some time. I want to see what is this happening. I don't want to go directly for surgery. So I did some inner work with the help of a therapist, 8-9 sessions with the therapist. And I took this time to understand my own inner movements. I realized that there was so much of anger I was suppressing in myself. I was not aware, if somebody would ask, the first day my therapist asked me, in the third session, he asked me that, let us do an anger session today. And I said, I'm not an angry person. Why would we do an anger session today? So this was all under the cover. I did not know that anger was there. And this is what would be called veil of ignorance. I don't even know that I have brimming full pot of anger within me. So unaware I am of my own life movements. So this is what happened, and the moment I did that anger session, which was beating a pillow for 2 hours at a stretch, saying all the things all the resentments, all the grudges about people I had in my mind, from childhood, from young ages, all that had to be blown out, like it had to be spoken out, beating a pillow for 2 hours. Now, in the beginning, it was not easy for me because I said, nothing is coming. We are so trapped in our pretenses that we don't want to be wild. So I, of course, did not want to be wild, thinking that, fearing what I may say, about what person. I don't even know what is hiding in my being. So I forced myself almost to say things out loud while expressing my anger towards my parents, towards my, say, spouse, towards my in-laws. All that came out in those 2 hours. After the 2 hours, the lightness I felt in my being was as if I am floating. And that told me that I was actually chained by that anger. So earlier I could never say that I am angry and I am holding on to things. I could never say that. But the moment I experienced this lightness in the being, I realized, oh my God, I had been really weighed down by heavy weights. And this was not really obvious to me. Imagine that a person, when he is born with the chains in his hands, right? So I am used to living in those chains. If a person comes to me and knocks me, hey, why are you wearing those chains? I would say, are you crazy? This is my own self. These chains are my own self. How are you calling it chains? But when the chains are taken off my body, the lightness I feel, almost like a discomforting lightness, because I have not felt it before. It tells me that, wow, I was living with chains. Now the chains, if they come back to me again, I would not be able to take them anymore. So the burdens that we are used to live in a day-to-day life, we are not even aware of that burden. Unless something happens in my life, owing to grace, which is there each moment of our lives there, and it removes these chains immediately. And I suddenly experience a sense of lightness, a sense of really, as if unburdening has happened. And then I would realize, wow, that was not my natural state. This feels more lighter. Now, it may be that there are more chains hiding there, but at least one step has been taken. And now if this burden comes back to me again, I will say no to that burden. The aspect of rejection in mother's writings, the aspiration and the rejection aspect. So now I will be able to say, no, I don't want this burden. I can live with this burden, without this burden. So that is what happened. I sensed a beautiful lightness in the being through those sessions, and slowly I also gathered the courage that, okay, if it is required to go through a surgery, let me go through a surgery. Because somehow I connected with a deeper strength, knowing that I am not the body. I am not the body. I am not the body. So something may happen to the body, but nothing can happen to me. Almost something like what people who undergo near-death experiences, one example is Anita Moorjani, her book called Dying to be Me. That was a big source of solace for me. I read it through my own journey when I was being diagnosed, where she shared that, I was beyond my body. So I could have the courage to look at my body and go through the disease that I was having. So through these journeys, through our own illnesses, this aspect has to come forward really strongly, that I am not my body. And hence, I can take all the diseases and all the challenges that come to me, knowing myself as something beyond the body. This connects us with a deeper strength within ourselves. So coming back to my journey, I underwent 2 surgeries in the bladder. So they did under anesthesia. I was operated, and they cleared up the bladder from inside, of all the tumors. Now, during the time of the surgery, I had the most wonderful time I had in my life was in the hospital. Why? Because I was deeply detached from my body. I was able to look at my body from a distance, that I am here and I am fine no matter if the disease is going on in my body. So it was a deeply challenging and exhilarating experience for me, going through those 2 surgeries. I was very light, no burden was there, and a sense of doership was also kind of shed off from my shoulders, because I was a mother so far. I was a wife, I was a daughter-in-law so far. Now immediately it came to me that you are now in the hospital, there is nothing in your hands, and still your children are being taken care of. So how on earth can you call yourself the doer? How on earth can you say that it is owing to me that things are going on? So that was a big unburdening experience, that I was not the doer. Things will go on even when I am not there, and maybe better, maybe in a better way than what I think about my mental rigidity, mental opinions. So that was again another step of unburdening, as mother talks about, shedding off the veils of ignorance. So these were the baby steps that were happening through this journey of cancer. One other experience that came to me was, I always thought that diseases are a result of some past bad karma. That person must have done some bad karma in life. That is why he has, all the diseases that he's having. That was something heavy, I was discussing it with my friends, with my mentors, and it came out that no, it's not like that. It's just that the soul wants to experience a richness in a lifetime. And all the experience in a person's life are these experiences to experience the richness. And again, if the universe is for me and it wants me to live a better life, then it will give me all the knocks on the door in the form of diseases, tragedies, illnesses, or whatever, which are necessary for me to live a lighter life. It feels like the universe is so much in love with us, universe or the Divine Mother is so much in love with us that it does not want to rest before it puts us on the track of our highest potential. It will keep on knocking at our door again and again. And the knocks come in the form of diseases usually, because diseases are intense, suffering is intense, and I cannot ignore that suffering. I cannot say put it aside. Whenever disease is there, especially autoimmune conditions which are threatening in nature, cancer which is always like a noose hanging on the head, these diseases are always very sharp, intense, and they poke us again and again to look at our life that we are living. Usually we are not ready to look at our lives. We may have read so much, we may have done many workshops, but yet something in me refuses to look at my own self. But when a disease is there, my life is at stake. So now I am compelled that, okay, let me see what is the reason. And this is the love of the universe in form of knocks like tragedies and illnesses, which is poking and telling me, hey, fire in your house, get up, fire in your house, get up. Because I am sleeping, there is fire in my house and I am sleeping. I have no idea that there is fire. My nose is blunt, I cannot sense the smoke. My senses are all going bonkers. I cannot sense, and there is fire. So this cancer comes as a knock. Knock, knock, knock. Fire in your house. Why fire in your house? Because there is this one human precious life that we have to live. And if this is not made good use of, if this is always lived for the ego, it's a waste of a human life. All the masters have said that. We realize it for ourselves, that so long as we keep on living for the ego, living for my own thoughts and conceptions and my own tragedies, my own stories, it is a very limited life. It is a very narrow life. And the universe wants to poke us, wake up, wake up. You can live a better life. You can live a lighter life. So it was a message kind of, getting unrevealed for me slowly. So I underwent these 2 surgeries. I was feeling very lighter, alive, more alive than I was ever before, even with the disease. It's not that the pain was not there, physical pain, suffering was not there. It was there. But there was strength also given to me. There was no more brightness in life. The dullness of the life had now gone away. The monotone of the life had gone away. Each moment was rich. Each moment was full. And it is not to say that I was now a perfect human being and I could not sense any negativity or dullness or ups and downs in life. Not like that. I still experience that. But along with the negativity or so-called dark emotions, also is given the strength to look at emotions. Just like I began in the beginning, the nervousness, the ripple of that nervousness that came to me in the night, I was given the strength to look at what it wanted to tell me. It wanted to tell me that you are free to be nobody. You are not obligated to prove yourself to anybody. So in that being nobody, you are your best. Just like a child is, an infant is. In trying not to prove being anyone, the child is a beauty. And that beauty is our birthright. So this was slowly, being revealed. Now after the 2 surgeries, I decided that I would, after the 1 surgery, I decided that I would not take up any further treatment from the allopathic side, because I was not really inclined to it. So I started to look after my emotions and look day-to-day basis what is burdening my mind, not to carry those burdens, having the free will to choose whether I want to carry this burden or not to carry this burden. Now this concept of free will was also very new to me. I never knew that this existed. So I was standing in balcony one day, I remember, when I was still going through the therapy and surgery, and I said that, oh my God, I have this free will. Now there is this burden on my head. I can choose whether I want to carry the burden or whether I don't want to carry the burden. This is the choice I have each moment. What do I choose? What do I choose each moment? So each moment is either lived in falsehood or truth. Whenever I say yes to my ego, to my mental rigidities, to my mental traumas, emotional traumas, to my story, whenever I say yes to it, I am living in falsehood, and hence the burden is there. And whenever I say no to it, I am living in truth. So that was something which was again very helpful for me to further cruise through in my life. So I decided I would not undergo any treatment. And then after a few months, tumors appeared again. Now I was waiting for a miracle to happen, as if life itself was not a miracle enough. I was reading these books of Anita Moorjani, and the story of Brandon Bayes, how she healed herself without any surgery or intervention, through just mental and emotional resolutions. So I was waiting for that, but thankfully that did not happen. The tumors happened again, and it was shown to me that tumors happened again because in the first surgery that the doctor did, he did not clean the bladder at the end. So the bladder had to be cleansed with a specific drug so that all the little sticking cells of cancer are removed from the bladder. He forgot to wash the bladder, but that turned out to be in my favor, because I had to now go through again further leg of surgery. So another challenge for me, and a good chance for my spirit to rise up again, get the strength again. So I went through another surgery, again a short surgery, and then I decided that okay, I will go through a short leg of treatment in the bladder. And that treatment was cleaning the bladder with BCG vaccine from inside. So I had to go to the OPD in the hospital, and they would put the catheter in and inject the the OPD the ointment or the vaccine into the bladder, and I have to lie down and twist here and there, and then do my urine in the hospital itself, because it is a live vaccine. It is live organisms there. The bacillus, the microorganism is live. So I have to do the thing in the washroom of hospital itself and then go back home. Now this was again a very challenging experience. It gave me a lot of pain. It gave me a lot of burning sensation while urination, and it helped me. I'll tell you why it helped me. It helped me because it helped me detached with the sense of being a body. Because the more the suffering in the body, the more I have a chance to be connected to the spirit. The more I have a chance to know myself, to identify myself not as the body, because the suffering is too much. The pain and the burning is too much. So this was the chance that was again given to me through these experiences. Now, when I go back home, I would not be able to much take care of my children because I would need at least 1 day to recover from this therapy, owing to the fact that it may burn while urination, and it will, again, urination be something that we take for granted. We are not even aware when you are urinating in the washroom. But this again brought me back to my senses that, oh my God, thankful for a non-painful urination, which we take for granted in our lives. Every day morning we get up and go into the washroom and do the cleansing, and thank God that it's not burning. So that was again a revelation for me. And so this leg was over in 6 months. In 6 months, the short leg of therapy was over. And again, it was a blessing in disguise. It connected me deeper and deeper to my own body, which I will be covering in later sessions. Today, I would like to take more questions and doubts and all kinds of things from you. So just winding it up in a few moments. So then what happened after the short leg of therapy, I was fine. Now I was really grateful, thankful that okay, I have another life to live, as if it was a new birth for me. That all the previous life was something else, as if a preparation for this new life to come. And each day was full. Each day was full in richness. It's not that I did not face challenges and still face challenges, but it's that I was ready to face them in a right attitude. I was not drowning in the sense of be poor me, victim me. So that was there. A richness was there. An aliveness was there. A gratefulness was a side effect of going through all this, disease. And now I slowly began cruising through, as if not even knowingly, words of Mother and Sri Aurobindo. So far I was not in touch with words of Sri Aurobindo and Mother. But owing to the fact where my children were going to preschool, they were connected to Mother and Sri Aurobindo, and I began taking interest in the readings by the Mother, which were easier for me to understand. And slowly, it felt that, oh my God, this has happened with me. This has happened with me. So I came to the words of Mother after I had practical experiences of the words of Mother. And that's why they began to come alive for me more and more. Just like words of Kabir Das Ji's, couplets, dohas of Kabir Das Ji also came alive for me in this time. And we do now sessions on the couplets of Kabir Das Ji's words, the wisdom, timeless wisdom, connecting it with day-to-day life. How are they relevant for us in day-to-day life? What is the signal it is trying to give me? So then I began to stumble upon words of Mother, and Mother in her words, she has explained everything so much in detail about the peace in the body, about how a disease is created, about the mental suggestions we are giving to our own self, creating a disease, not even being aware of the disease, that it is being created. So it became more and more real for me that, oh my God, I created my own illness. And then owing to the fact that I was able to read through a bit of messages through the illness, it appeared that now I am okay. Now I have gotten a new chance to live. Now I can never say that I took care of my cancer, because it was just all happenings after happenings. I had no strength to look after my cancer. Just grace was guiding so badly, I would say, that there was no other option but to go this way. And people ask me about remissions. Aren't you afraid of remissions? Owing to the fact that since 2017, I have not looked back at hospitals in trying to, get these regular PET scans done or what they recommend for, a cancer. So of course, there I am taking a risk. People can say that, why are you taking a big risk? Why don't you get your scans done or diagnosis done, the regular diagnosis? But then what is the fun, life without any risk? I think I somehow have this thrill of living on the edge, that why not live life on the edge? And living life on the edge also gives me more power to be vigilant about my day-to-day life, owing to the fact that I am not undergoing any regular scans. I have to be more vigilant in life about my mental and emotional status. I cannot just allow myself to slip here and there, right? So I am more conscious. I have to be more conscious of my inner movements. What are the mental suggestions I am giving myself? What are the burdens today I am carrying? So I have to be more cautious of that. So I prefer to be more cautious rather than, having the regular scans done and taking a back seat that everything is okay now, so I don't have to worry about, my mental and emotional state. Why not worry about your mental and emotional state and, keep a guard on what they are doing to you? And, this connected the dots with my PhD. Now in PhD, when I ended, I was wanting to know what is the mental and emotional part which is related with the disease. Now it became more and more clear to me that a disease is, if I can say, 90% mental and emotional, and maybe very little percentage maybe just genetic. And even we talk about when genetics, people in genetics field also have shown that even if you have genes for a particular disease, what matters most is the nurture that you give to those genes. If you are giving a proper mental and emotional atmosphere, which is the emotional and mental atmosphere of your psychic, which we will cover in the later sessions, it is not a possibility that you are troubled with the disease. So in spite of having genes of a particular disease, you can live a better life. How on earth is that a possibility? Because we are the creators of our own destiny. No matter how far we may shrug it off our shoulders that, it is the divine who is taking care of this and I am not, taking the best passive seat. But the divine is also everywhere and you are a part of that everywhere. So how can I not look that I have this power of looking at things? I have this power and light of consciousness within me which can look at my own inner movements. How can I negate that when I say there is divine who is taking care of all that? The divine has also given me this power. Why on earth can I not use that power? So that's where we become really responsible for our own sanity. That none in our life, no person, no external situation in our life can bring us peace and happiness. It is my responsibility to live in contentment. It is my responsibility to live in peace and inner joy. Irrespective of a disease in my life, irrespective of a challenging situation in my life, just like a lotus flower, irrespective of the mud water, it flowers, and lotus is one of the beautiful flowers we have known. And where does it take all the nutrition from? From the dirt and rainwater. So we have to do that for our own self. That all the darkness in our being, we have to transform it with the light of our consciousness. Looking at each and every thread of darkness very closely, very intimately, fearlessly. And then a new chapter in the life begins, and chapter after chapters are unfolded in life. So I think for a beginning, I have said enough. If there are any questions, because I want to keep some time for questions. I want this to be, more interactive. As I said, that I don't have anything to give you or add on to you, but it would be good to hear your experiences of going through your diseases and illnesses, and how maybe you connect with the with these hinters or pointers, or if there is anything you want to ask. So James, is it good that I take a pause here and we ask others to share and reflect?
Yes, very, very appropriate, Monica. Yeah. If anyone wants to fearlessly step forward and say something, it would be very nice. Questions or feedback or sharing experiences as well. And as you speak, you can turn your video on, of course. Unmute yourself and step forward. So I'm sure that.
Am I audible? I'm Komla. Can I speak?
Yes, Kumla.
Okay.
Please. Thank you.
Hello, James. This is my first time to attend a workshop of NAMAH. My husband Jyoti is quite active. I think he's constantly in touch with you also. Thank you for giving me this. Yes, I'm glad I could do this. And listening to Monica, so the most remarkable thing that I experienced in the first day of this workshop in the last 1 hour is I could never think of illness as a boon or as a moment, to take time out and introspect. We do realize and we do accept that yes, a lot of emotional trauma causes physical pain. But we never are able to identify, and taking illness, especially life-threatening illness like cancer, and taking an opportunity to, like you've just done a topsy-turvy to the disease. And I'm really looking forward to the next 3 days, and I'm making notes. I'm noting down a lot of things. I'm going to really study myself. I've taken time off my job also. So thank you so much for sharing everything, and I have no words right now to express. Like you said, we don't have to prove ourselves to anyone, but yes, at the same time, I don't know how to express this. That looking at illness like this, I could never imagine the positive or the plus side of an illness. We just don't like illness. We don't like to hear about it. We feel that's something that's bad is happening, but the looking at the good side and what is the positive side and what awareness, enlightenment it can bring to us, it's remarkable. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. That's all.
Thank you for sharing. Thank you, Komla.
Yes, it's topsy-turvy. Looking at illness as a vehicle for growth, which is really what it should be. Yeah. Does anyone else want to? Oh, hello.
Hi, I'm Linda Marks in San Francisco.
Hi.
I'm enjoying this very much, and I was very intrigued by your anger session. I have a niece who has ovarian cancer now, and I'm really on this because I want to give some ideas to her, as well as I'm 80 years old, so I figure at some point I'm going to need this anyway. Do you feel that when you did the anger session, you had to do that with a therapist, or would that be something that she should just go and pound her pillow and be angry at her father and everybody else she's angry at, her ex-husband, all these things?
Yeah, Linda, thank you for the question. I think for me it was, I had no other way. So I did not even know that this was an opportunity to look at my anger. So first of all, thankful for the therapist that he made me aware that this can be an issue. I would by myself have not even gotten that far. Maybe another person in some other stage of life is conscious enough that he is slowly able to bring anger to surface. I was not conscious enough, so I needed the help of the therapist. The other thing is that the therapist, owing to the fact that he knows how to take it. So I don't know what to do with my anger, how to transmute it. So if you get a good therapist around you who can guide you through this anger, it's not a very big deal actually, but with the therapist it becomes like a smooth buttery thing, like you are able to use it, transmute it for your growth. Right? So for example, after the beating of the pillow for 1.5 hours, I had to lie down. And I had to just deeply rest my being. There was a lot of rest I have to experience after the session. So if a person can do it all by himself, I think good enough. But if you are not able to, I think owing to the fact that we are all one, so even the therapist is a part of my being, go and ask for help.
Sure.
I would.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure. Yes, I had years of therapy. I put my inner child through college. So thank you very much. I really appreciate this session, Mom. Monica. Thank you.
We had a workshop about 6 weeks ago on anger, actually. The workshop was called Beyond Anger Management. Transform it through integral yoga. So, pity you missed that bit. We can all transform our anger into a loving acceptance.
Yes, 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 yes. This is great. Thank you.
The capacity is within us. Yes. Thank you. Thank you. Anyone else, please?
So one thing which I want to share here with everyone who's participating, that feel free to ask weird questions, because I think we often save ourselves from asking questions, you know, how would it appear and would it be a right question or a wrong question. So it would be beautiful if you just blast yourself out with anything that is going on in your head regarding the session or any question. That would be really nice. I would welcome that.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, may I go next?
Hello?
Hello, Beena here.
Hello, Veena.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Monica. I was diagnosed with lung fibrosis about 4 years back. Hello?
Yes?
Yeah, can you hear me?
We can just about hear you. Yes?
Yes.
Yeah, I was diagnosed with lung fibrosis about 4 years back.
Right.
And I did not take the traditional allopathy treatment. I'm doing homeopathy and depending on yoga and other things, and I'm doing pretty okay. But I also have done a little bit of work on myself. I still have not had a breakthrough as yet. So,
Right.
and thank you for this wonderful session and sharing, Monica. It was beautiful.
Yes, Beena, let me.
Yes.
The thing that you shared, you know, that I did not have a breakthrough. So it may appear to you when I am sharing that I had a series of breakthroughs, but you know, it is nothing but a normal, ordinary life. There is nothing extraordinary about it, and that is why I said in the beginning that I don't have anything to give to all of you, but share my experiences, because you know, we have that love, strength and compassion and divinity within each other. So no talk from external side can give us anything. It can just be a pointer that it lies in you. Go find it out for yourself. So I think you already had a breakthrough, but maybe you have a breakthrough image, you know, that you have an image of a breakthrough. This is how it should come, you know, everything should become light or whatever. So I can see the light on your face, and it is already a breakthrough, I would say, you know, that we often don't even know that we have images about breakthroughs. That if there is a breakthrough, this is how it should happen, right? Because how would I know then a breakthrough has already happened? So I have to see for myself, be very, very honest, that last night, as I shared with you before this talk, I am having a nervousness in my being. So where are all the breakthroughs in my cancer? You know, they're all gone for a toss. And this ability to look at the nervousness is, I think, the breakthrough that we all have with us each moment of our life. So there is nothing special in waking up with a disease. I think this ability to look at each and every inner movement is the biggest gift that we already have. It's nothing that is given from external situations. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yes, this matter of taking charge of ourselves is an ongoing process. So, thank you, Peter. So we have quite a few people. Oh, hello, sir. Yogesh.
Yeah, hi, Monica. So I'm Yogesh. So thanks for the session. It was really giving a different point of view, the way you have explained. I just have a question regarding when you when you just said that, there are the chains, you are not aware of and it got broken, so are you, my question is something not related to illness, but are you saying you have some misconceptions which you are carrying within you and which is binding you for the long time which you don't know? Or are there any process you thought of, or you need to go through some experiences, then only it will break, or how do you see those change? Because what you said is right, maybe we have some wrong conceptions or which we may carry over the years and we don't know whether they I'm carrying it, maybe it's not actually existing, but I'm carrying it just as it is because I don't know. So can you just talk on that front?
You're very loud, Yogesh. Yeah. You're very loud. Your audio is very loud.
Oh, sorry.
It's okay, it happens. Okay.
Yeah, thank you, Yogesh. So, I realized that, a child questions everything. A little child will question about everything that he sees. If we are giving as a parent good nurture to that child, we will allow that questioning to be, right? But slowly as we grow up as adults, we stop to question ourselves. Why am I thinking like that? Why am I holding that particular thing about that particular person? So we don't even, first of all, we stop to question the society. And secondly, we stop to question our own self. We become too attached to our own mental rigidities and opinions. And we are not our opinions. We are something beyond our opinions. So one thing which I realized in this process was that I had somewhere stopped to question. For example, what is my role being a daughter-in-law? Why on earth am I supposed to do that? Who is binding me to do that? Why am I not allowing me to live my own life? So all these questions were questions which I asked only after cancer. Because now I wanted to live. So these questions earlier, I was living a very suffocated life and I was not even aware that I was living a suffocated life. Why? Because I never questioned those, dogmas in my mind and dogmas from other people. So I believe that this ability to question which has been given to human beings must be a part of day-to-day life. And more often than not, first of all, questioning the society. Why do I take completely something from the society and not question it? Secondly, why do I even not question my own belief about any person or anything? So the conceptions you were talking of, I think that any conception in my mind is a burden on my mind. Sri Aurobindo talks of a silent mind, right? So there is nothing called a positive or a negative conception. Any conception that is weighing in the receptacle of my mind is a burden for the mind. And hence the mind cannot be silent and receptive so that insights and intuitions we are able to receive that guidance, right? So I think this is what I think I'll be taking up more on this in coming sessions also, that it is our responsibility to keep our mind light and burden free. Only then I can connect with this intuitive guidance within my being. Otherwise, the guidance may be blabbering, but I have no time to listen to the guidance because I am just lost in my concepts, trying to save those concepts. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Thanks for the explanation.
Thank you, Yogesh. Thank you. Monica, there's some feedback from Julie. I think Julie from Australia. Thank you very much. So beautiful, encouraging, enlightening, and the divine in you is palpable, delightful, and truthful. There is no experience I can share. I have a feeling confident, if that may be. I certainly will hear your words. So that's from Julie in Australia.
Thank you.
Hi, Monica. Thank you for the sharing that you just did on Sejal. So I heard you speak that you said you created your own disease. We all create our own diseases. So maybe I want to know more about it. And if you are planning to cover them in the following sessions, which is okay, so we can just drop it here. But this is the question that stayed with me.
Yes, thank you, Sejal, for
Raising
the
your hand
question.
this evening.
So, since we have time, I can say a few words on it, the thing that you've asked. So I said that I realized that I created my own illness, and it was very palpable from the beginning itself that I am responsible for this, I am responsible for this. Not in a sense of trying to victimize myself, but knowing it as a fact. So I realized that for the time when I got married, after 2-3 years into my marriage, I had started to live by the definitions of the society. You know, what is expected of a daughter-in-law. So I had forgotten the human being I was, and I was trying to be the daughter-in-law. I was trying to be a wife. I was trying to be a mother, actually completely suppressing the human being in me. So there I realized that trying to fit in these roles, I was as if suffocating my spirit. And before cancer, it was not very obvious to me. I could see that I am feeling a bit lost in life. I could see that. But if someone would say and tell me that you are doing this, I would not maybe buy immediately. And that is why I was sharing that diseases like cancer or even, other diseases, they are very intense and sharp. So they ask us to question that what is the kind of the life that you have started to live? You were not like that before. You lived a free life. Who is asking you to get bound? And why on earth do you need the respect and approval of other people around you? What is the fun in this life, which is a strangulated life each moment? So these questions appeared in my being only after this intensity of cancer. And that is why my reiteration again and again that diseases are nothing but a wake-up call. So the universe is not trying to victimize me that, maro is bandi ko, not like that, Almost like it is trying to help me that, okay, how do I let this person know that she deserves a better life? Almost like that. So if we can begin to read the signals and see honestly for ourselves that yes, I am living a suffocated life, and how long would I keep on living like that? Because life has no, permanence. Tomorrow something can happen and I am gone. A heart attack comes, I am gone. So why to live even a short life, a strangulated life? Why not to be alive each moment? So that is, what, I don't know if I've shared enough what you were asking.
Yeah, Monica. Yeah, it makes sense what you said. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
Monica ji, this is Sanjeev this side. I just wanted to ask you one question. What role does faith play in this control of diseases? Because you've seen that villagers when they go to a doctor, they have so much faith in the doctor that they get cured very fast. While we people who live in urban areas and who look into the Google and all to find out what has happened to me, we generally take time to get to control the disease. So I'm sure faith has a lot of role to play in this.
Oh, absolutely. Wonderful.
Yes, yes, Sanjeev ji. I think faith we all have in certain or bigger degree. We all have faith. Even so-called skeptics, I would say they also have faith. They may not agree because they are skeptics, but they have a certain quality of faith. We all have faith. And one thing which I realized for myself that the moment I begin to see for myself that what on earth is the disease trying to tell me, that was a reflection of inherent faith itself, that I was sure that there is some message there for me. Right? So that was again a reflection of any little degree of faith that I may have. And more, I would say it has just increased. So faith definitely has a big role. And I would say that we are all blessed with some or the greater degree of faith. We cannot say, even those of us who may disapprove of having faith in their lives, they also have some degree of faith. They have faith in questioning, for example, right? So skeptics have faith in questioning. They want to doubt everything. They want to challenge everything. So that itself is a degree of some faith that is there. And doubt and confusion is a beautiful beginning, because whenever we doubt anything, whenever we are questioning anything, we are always reaching to the truth by negating the false. So I think faith has a very big role to play, and faith is forever there. It's just that we are not able to notice faith and use it in our lives. Yeah.
Can you hear me, Monica ji?
Yes,
Dhaval
yes,
here.
Dhaval. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, namaste. So I'll just try to start my video, but if it just doesn't because of bandwidth issues, I'll just put it off. I don't know whether you can see me or not. Can you hear me though? Yeah.
Yes, we can hear you. Yeah. Yes, we can hear you. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So I'll just share my experience. Actually, I had a bad fall in 2008, and I had broken my knee actually. There was a crack, and for 3 days I was in plaster, and the doctor said that it's better you get operated, but I can cure. But I had this inherent fear of surgery, to be very frank, and for 3 days I was dwelling in pain and all, but and then eventually we consulted a bigger doctor, and he said, no, you must go for a surgery. A rod has to be put in your knee, without which you won't be able to walk your life otherwise. It will be a very difficult process. So I can relate to what all you said, because those moments before the surgery, I was all scattered. But then I have a habit of listening to the mother's music. So I was listening to the New Year music, and suddenly, as if in the night, the day before I got admitted, day before the surgery, I got admitted, and that night when I heard the music, it just calmed me completely. I could just be within myself, as if it's a self-absorbing word. I guess you used that word. So I was completely within me, and I was just not worried about the surgery. But prior to that, I had a catharsis kind of a moment. I cried out because I'd never been through any surgery. So probably that relieved me, and of course, mother's music just, the New Year music just put the things in place for me. I went through the surgery. During the surgery, there were some complications. The body reacted to the anesthetic thing, some medicine that was given. Then the surgery had to be stopped, and then I recovered slowly. But I completely relate to what you just said in your session about reflection. So in my hospital bed, these were moments of reflection for me, because pain has come in my life, and what do I do? Ever since anybody falls sick, I just tell this is an opportunity to just kind of gather yourself and reflect into you what's going on. So I completely concur with what you have experienced, because that has been my experience also. However, that night after surgery, that evening, as the anesthetic effect reduced, I went back into tremendous pain because of the surgery and the rod that was inserted. Unfortunately, I could not get hold of it, so I had to call the doctor midnight. I had to be given another shot of painkiller to just subside it. But ever since that and now, there is this, I am not afraid of death, but however I'm afraid of the pain, physical pain before the death or whatever is associated. So any thoughts on how to detach yourself from physical pain? Because that's the most difficult thing I find within me. Because moment the pain starts, all the attention kind of is just on that area. I know, James, I've read your article as well. It's very helpful. But you see, it takes a lot of effort to take the mind out of. So one of the things that I did was divert the mind by putting consciousness in some other activity. But that's a diversion. Is there any other technique that you can offer to remove consciousness from that path, or how do you achieve that level of perfection?
Thank you so much, Dhaval, for your question. And thank you for sharing your experience. So, one thing which I am realizing more and more is that the more the pain, the more I have the intensity to be identified truly as the inner being, which is untouched by the pain. So I have no remedy per se to take care of the physical pain. Maybe others have, I don't know. But I can see for myself that the more I am in pain and the more I am in suffering, there are more chances of me identifying myself as something beyond the pain. So this is what Mother talks about, connecting you to a divine strength within you. A strength which can take care of all the pains. So the pain, you can be sure, it will be there in some or the other degree. So the purpose, you see, why the universe has gotten me here. The purpose of pain is not to do something about the pain and to alleviate the pain. That is not the purpose of the disease. The purpose of the disease is to get you in touch deeply with knowing who you truly are. That is the purpose. So the pain may be there, may not be there. That is irrespective. What have you done with the pain? Have you used the pain, the intensity of the pain? Because the stronger the intensity of the pain, the stronger you have the chance to go deeper and identify yourself as the inner strength and not as the pain. So the pain is there, and here am I with the pain. I'm with the pain. I'm with the pain. So I am slowly increasing in my strength. I am increasing in my strength. Pain is there. Pain is pulsating. And I am with the pain, with the pain, with the pain. You know, imagine that trees who are there, which are there in areas where I'm just creating up a imaginary, example. Imagine that there are trees where strong winds are there, tsunami-like winds are there, right? Now those trees will slowly adapt to the situation and develop their roots so strongly and deeper into the ground that usual tsunami winds cannot really uproot them. So this is just an imaginary example that I am creating. And it is found in nature. If you look at insects and animals, they adapt themselves to the situations. So in the presence of tsunami-like pain, I have been given an opportunity to root myself so deeply in the divine strength within the being, which all of us have, so that even in the presence of pain, it is not really, killing me. So I would say that is the possibility I see there. I may have a limited understanding here, but this is what I can see, that the auchitya, the goal is not to get rid of the pain. The goal is to use the pain to get in touch with the divine strength. If you have done that, or in any capacity, if you are able to do that, I think the pain has served its purpose. So even if the pain remains or goes away, you would be unbothered.
Yeah, and what you also find is that as your consciousness grows and develops, your threshold for pain heightens too. There's a question from Sejal, Monica. Monica, does each disease give out a precise message to be worked on inwardly? How to be sure of that message correctly? This is from Sejal.
Yeah. Sejal, I would feel, again, I'm just sharing, as I shared, that I would be sharing only out of my own experiences. I would say that there is only one message by every disease. That message is stop living a limited life. Stop living for your ego. Say no to the ego and live for truth. This is the crux of each and every experience. Now it can unfold in various manners. You know, it can unfold according to your own individuality, your own personal circumstances. It will unfold in a different way. But when mother says that we have to stop living for falsehood, we actually have to stop living for images in our head and begin to live a truer, deeper life. How do we do that? See, for example, I am in a habit of picking up a cigarette. Every time I feel restless, I pick up a cigarette. Okay, that is my tendency. That has become my habit. Now, in understanding, I know that this is not good for me. So the right understanding is right there in my being. Every time I pick up a cigarette, I also see a little understanding that I must not be really doing that, but I still go because I don't find other way. So one day I say enough of it. I have done this enough to myself, and I don't want to pick up that cigarette. I want to go through the restlessness that stays when I do not pick up the cigarette. This is saying no to your tendencies. This is saying no to your emotional and mental patterns. Whenever we say no to mental and emotional patterns, however difficult it may be, however discomforting that experience may be, because it is not easy to go through the restlessness. One needs a lot of strength to, endure through the restlessness. But that is how we do practice endurance. Right? So that is how I develop more and more strength in my being. So I have said no to whatever addiction that I am carrying. It may be drug addiction, it may be addiction of a person, it may be addiction of wanting approval from other people, it may be addiction of just immediately giving me some respite from my restlessness. I say no, I am not going to do that. And then I am there sitting by myself with my restlessness. And when I am able to do that, it connects me deeply with this right understanding that yes, I know that this is discomforting for me, but I know that this is also good for me. And we all know what is good for us. We all know. Massaging each other's egos is not good neither for me, not for other person. We all know that, but still we do that. In a fear of rejection, we do that. So the message, the crux of the matter is stop saying yes to falsehood, say yes to truth in your life. Yeah, and that may unfold in any which way in your life.
Yeah. Live truly. Okay. Does anyone else have any more comments they would like to make? We have about 10 minutes left. I think as the first session, Monica, it was great that you touched on your personal experience. More than that, you embraced your personal experience so vividly, and that puts everyone else's experience into context. I feel so much better because I feel that your experience will resonate with other people's experience, and that's why these sessions are so useful. Aurora has a comment. I presume every near-death experience will be giving a concrete, specific message to the person depending on his or her soul's need. Near-death experience.
So Aroraji, I would say that yes, you're right. In one way or the other, each life is unfolding in a different way. But basically what we do as human beings is we begin to suffocate the soul. In following our ego, we suffocate our soul. and we don't deserve to do that. So it's a universe like tries to signal us in any which way that, hey, begin to live life right now, right now, right now. So again, as I said, that the message may be different, or I don't really think it can be a really very different message, but yes, you are right, messages can be different, because according to each person's situation and circumstances, unfolding of life can be different. But crux of the matter still remains the same, that we do not deserve to live a suffocated life. And it's me who is suffocating myself, not anyone else on this earth. In our own mental opinions, in our own mental rigidities, that this is how life has to be lived and I cannot live any other way. So we think that it's the society pressuring us, but there is no society who can pressure us. It's us who has brought us into beliefs of, rigidities. Yeah.
Yes, we have to follow the mandate of the soul in all instances. Yeah. So, if nobody has any comments or questions, perhaps we'll conclude for the day.
James, can I say something? I don't know if I'm audible. Maya here.
Maya, please, yes.
Yes. So thank you, Monica ji, for that lovely sharing. I think it requires a lot of courage to express and put it in words and share it with all of us. So thank you for that. I think the challenge is to keep looking and observing at whatever the diseased part is trying to tell you, or whatever your state of mind to tell you. And I think the challenge personally for me becomes that much that I have that in mind and heart at times, one gets caught up in the routine, mundane, daily tasks and the responsibilities and obligations that one has to fulfill. So much as one would like to continue remembering that, which is very necessary, I think my struggle comes to keep that in front of me, in memory. Even if I also agree with what Dhavalji said, that sometimes the pain is so intense that you get lost in the pain and you forget everything else, that I need to look into it, or I need to observe it. So that is another challenge. So to be caught sometimes by your responsibilities, and of course sometimes to get caught in the physical pain, which then distracts you from effectively looking at a situation per se. Yeah.
Beautiful.
Excellent, Monica.
Yeah.
Thank you, Maya. Yes.
Yeah. Maya ji, two things I have picked up from your sharing. One is that looking at the pain. So we actually don't have to look at the pain at all. At all. Pain is there in its huge intensity. I just have to stop being the resistance to the pain. I have to let myself completely get shattered with the pain. And there, when things are shattering in my being, the only thing that remains is the divine strength. All rest can be shattered. So one thing is this, that we don't have to look at the pain. We have to just allow the pain to be. Stop the resistance to the pain. That is one thing. The other thing that you shared, I think we will touch more upon this in upcoming sessions also. The thing about responsibilities and that I know what is important, but I am still not able to make it my life, owing to the fact that the other things in life take precedence. So there I would say that there is a little echo. Maya ji, can you mute yourself? I think it's coming from unmuted mic. Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you. Now it's okay. So there is something in me which knows for sure that whatever life schedules I am busy with, they are important for me. And that is why I am spending time there. So I think we have to be really honest with ourselves that I feel that something else is important, but I am spending time somewhere else, which I think is not important. Now this dichotomy has to be really looked, because I may think that I am thinking that, okay, this is not important, this is important for me, but all my time during the day goes here. It cannot be that I do not consider this important. There must be some rasa coming from these endeavors in my life where I am keeping myself involved. So when you talk about burdens and responsibilities and obligations, even if you drop dead today, life will go on. Life has gone on for centuries, even when masters have passed away. So who are we really? But we think that in our individual lives, we are really big bodies. We are somebody. So in trying to be somebody and in trying to be fulfilling those duties, we really suffocate the most essential part of our being, thinking all of that as really precious. And it's not that those duties and obligations will not be taken care of. Now I am a mother and I'm still a mother. But first and foremost, what is important for me is living a lighter life. A lady who is living a lighter life can be a better mother to children. A person who is a CEO of a company who is taking first of all care of his inner being can also do some better job being a CEO. So first and foremost has to be taking care of my own mental and emotional burdens. We think that those burdens are giving me something. No burden, no mental and emotional burden on earth is able to give us anything. It just takes away our peace. So this has to become my day-to-day living. And I think we will touch more upon this in coming sessions, that we don't deserve to carry these mental and emotional burdens even a moment of our life. And the moment I get aware of the burden, I look at it and I drop it. I look at it and I drop it.
So, sorry, can I suggest? I did not say burden. I said there are certain obligations. I mean, I don't visualize anything as a burden personally in my life. But sometimes there are obligations. There's an obligation even to look after yourself, to look after your meal, to cook your meal even when you are in a physical pain. So things like that. So there are certain things that we need to do. So yeah, nothing as a burden. Yeah. Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you for clarifying.
Thank you.
Thank you. I think we'll cover it up in further sessions also, owing to the time today. We are already up. Yeah. James, you are muted. Yeah.
Beautiful session. And we'll continue the journey of understanding anonymous tomorrow from 10 o'clock. And see you all tomorrow. Goodbye.
Thank you. Thank you, James. Thank you, everyone.